punch somebody.
We are getting absolutely the best performances of any fight game that has ever existed.
When I found out there was gonna be a video game and kind of the nature of it, I was like, that's hot. That is hot. So I was down for that for sure.
We've made a game that is exploration, it is shooting, it is fighting, flying, driving, hacking.
And on top of that, you get the hour-long Matrix movie interspersed within the game that you can't see anywhere else.
If we fail, Neo fails. And that cannot happen at any cost.
Go the other way. Sure. That sort of charismatic element, tightening up the pace. And I guess the pace, that might bring the stakes up a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Gotcha.
Excellent.
You know that saying, no one can tell you what the Matrix is, you have to see it for yourself? Trust me, just watching the movie, you still don't get it.
And action.
Morpheus.
A sentinel for every man, woman, and child in Zion.
This really is the first story that's being told in multiple mediums. And the video game is directly related to the movie.
Matrix was like the first project that came my way that I just could not refuse. Like, that wasn't gonna happen.
I would have carried a bucket of water just to be involved with Matrix in some way.
As with everything in the project, we are being very careful to keep it secret because when it does come out, it will have more impact. All the actors signed on without even reading a script.
I had no idea what kind of character I was playing. I didn't know if I was going to be playing, you know, a paraplegic prostitute from Nebraska.
For all I know, I could be like an alien stripper. I don't know what is going on.
The first mention of the video game was that it was like a third movie. And it had this whole amazing, intricate story weaved into the stories of the movie.
Has everyone arrived?
All but the Nebuchadnezzar.
Figures. Anything for an entrance. I don't remember Larry and Andy saying to me that there was gonna be a game. I think I found out later. You know, there's a game script too. There's a game. Oh, there's a game. So how you know it's, well, we'll get a script to you and you can see, but you got a lot of stuff in it. The game script was all this action, flipping out the car window, shit. And I was like, how are they gonna shoot all of this? They're gonna shoot 2, 3, and this video game script.
Uh-oh, heads up, guys, incoming.
When Joel Silver's office called us to talk to us about The Matrix, my impression was that they were unnaturally interested in making a video game. They weren't just the normal directors, they really are in the culture that they were aiming to target. The Wachowskis have to budget every minute they get, and if they choose to pick up a controller and play a video game, I would say those guys are pretty hardcore. Then when I find out that they actually finish the games that they're playing, that means that you can have a conversation with them at a gamer's level.
The brothers made it clear that they viewed the game as not just a merchandising deal like you would do making a Matrix lunchbox, but they really thought of it as what's going to be the most fun for the gamer and what's going to be a really fun game to play.
David Perry, the president and game designer at Shiny, is sort of one of those brilliant minds when it comes to gameplay. Larry and Andy have always been big fans of his game. He runs a small operation rather than being part of a huge conglomerate somewhere.
They know an enormous amount of about what they're doing and what they're able to bring to creating the reality is quite fantastic.
Thank you for coming. The Oracle is waiting for you.
Usually they just take the original script and rehash it. You know, it's Jurassic Park and you're running away from dinosaurs. Well, I saw that in the movie. I'm not really that interested in playing it.
Enter the Matrix is written by the boys, directed by the boys, cut by the boys. So they're directly involved in the making of the video game, which was their idea from the beginning, which has never been done before.
The Wachowskis had a piece of story to tell that they didn't really have time for in a 2-hour movie, where they would have told it if they had a 3-hour movie, and we get to do it in the video game. I think one of the things that really got the Wachowski brothers interested in Shiny was when I demonstrated our patented technology to try to make the actors look real within video games.
Movie license games, if they're lucky, the character looks like the actor who was in the film, but usually they don't even get the rights to use that likeness.
You don't get an engaging performance, and that's something that's entirely new here. Real actors giving real performances, real stories.
It's here! I found the exit!
The game has 3 levels of media in it. One is full motion video, which is essentially stuff directed by Larry and Andy, in which they actually shoot on their sets with the principal actors.
The machines are digging. They're boring from the surface straight down to Zion.
And that'll appear in the game, sort of DVD style. The next level of media is the interactive part. And those are also dramatic, fixed scenes. The actors are based on motion capture.
My friends, I apologize. I could not foresee that our paths were not meant to cross yet. This key will free you of the labyrinth.
And then there's the game.
One of the things that's really been exceptional is that we've been able to share assets directly with the crew, and Owen Patterson as well, because he was able to give us blueprints of things he hadn't even built yet.
The look of the game is of interest to me. I want to ensure that the video game comes back, or the console game rather, comes back and feels like you are in the Matrix.
Larry and Andy insisted that the same, incredible kind of resources that are used on a film set were used for this video game footage. That meant that all the same equipment was used, the same film stock, the same actors, all the same crew. There were hundreds of people on this set, and they're working on a video game.
This is Thaddeus, captain of the Osiris. We're going to attempt an emergency broadcast drop in the Matrix. All we can do is hope that it's not too late.
Drop down in Zion broadcast. I want this data transmitted immediately.
The game starts out 2 days prior to the beginning of the Reloaded script and follows the Osiris anime. The anime ends, the game begins, and then from that point forward, it goes to the events that start the film.
You're here.
When you first enter the game, you can choose either Niobe or Ghost.
When I read the Niobe character, Niobe is so much like myself. The only thing that she's really connected to is her heart as a soldier, and she's good at it. Any questions? No? Good. Then move like you got a purpose. Once she has her mind set on something, you are not going to change her mind, and she's going to do what she wants to do. And she'll do it until death.
Ghost. The first time I spoke to Larry and Andy about Ghost, they described him as an Aztec Buddhist killer. He also carries a lot of the philosophical ideas of the brothers, so Ghost will often break into quotes from Nietzsche or Kierkegaard or Hume.
Like Augustine, I'm dedicated to a higher purpose.
What's that?
Onanism.
And then you've got my guy, who basically will try and avoid any dangerous situation. Operator. Even though he doesn't even go into the Matrix.
Sparks, the P.O. box area is locked up tight.
Yeah, I noticed that. Ghost and Niobe have totally different paths they take. So if you play as Anthony, it's not the same game as you play as Jada. It's a different game.
I'm gonna take the lead along that path and draw them out. You nail them as soon as they show themselves.
Like Ghost and Niobe, you will encounter the same challenges that we encounter in the movie, and there's constantly this life and death pressure.
Then your job is to go into the Matrix and retrieve that parcel that the crew of the Osiris have left you.
You explore an entire power plant, the airport, the freeway, the sewers. You get to spar with Trinity. Each one of these beats is unique unto itself. They are a little mini game. That means that every time you start to get good at something and you move a level, you're gonna sort of have to get good again.
Morpheus is on the freeway just ahead of you.
The game is a driving game, it's a shooting game, it's a martial arts game. There's so many permutations to everything.
The fight engine that we're using for the Matrix is actually a completely new fight engine where you're running on walls and flipping off the walls and doing cartwheels to pick up new weapons. We have all of that in this video game.
Each character has hundreds more moves than the average fight game, and looking at 500-600 moves per character.
The other thing that we thought was really important was we make a driving game where you are as hard as nails and you're trying to get to your hard line in whatever way possible and bullets fly. We felt it would be a little bit unfair to make a Matrix game that only took place in the Matrix, so we thought we'd do at least a piece of it that touches into the real world.
The idea behind the hovercraft section was to create not only a fantastic sort of real world for the gamers, but also to work throughout the entire timeline of the game. We also end the game at the same moment in time as the film, just in a different location.
One of the other things in the game is we have what we call it focus mode, where this is when the characters free their minds and they truly show their full power. The characters are a little less affected by gravity. You feel the world has changed, or at least the world has changed for the player.
On top of it all, the camera moves were directed by Larry and Andy, so that a cool action moment takes on that flair that it would in a film.
Video game, usually they'll just stick the camera here and it'll attach to the guy's head and it'll follow him perfectly as he moves, which isn't cinematic.
Because they wanted to make this more film-like, we had Larry and Andy actually directing the cameras that are in the gameplay, you know, where they exist as characters walk around in the game.
There's secret levels, there's things you can hack into.
You can go into the code like Neo and like Trinity, like they all did when they first became part of the Matrix. They all started as hackers, and that's what the player's doing.
We added new abilities and new levels.
Secret missions, secret codes, downloading new abilities into their brain, the ability to fight with swords, that sort of thing.
The technology we've created requires all these incredible moves so we can blend them all in and try and keep it looking real. And so we could have faked it with some stunt people in Hollywood, but it just wouldn't have been the same. So what we really wanted to do was try and capture a real human body, you know, landing on the floor or doing some kind of aerial kick. And the only way to do that is with motion capture.
We are in Hangar 12 at the Alameda Naval Base. The structure is a motion capture stage, which we built special for this film, as well as the Matrix game.
If you want to be able to take a computer image and make it look exactly like a person, how it moves, you have to do this motion capture process. You just have to.
And they have these cameras, you know, it's like 20 different cameras in all these different directions. Basically, we would act out certain scenes for the video game. And oh, it was a trip.
Why do you do that?
Past experience can never prove the future.
The Matrix video game has got more motion capture in it than any game I've ever seen.
Usually they do about 2 weeks of motion capture. We decided we wanted to create every move as an independent move.
We did 6 months of capture for the Matrix video game.
Carrie Ann, completely riveted by the technological onslaught around her.
Very unflattering outfit, so don't get me in it.
Happy to be your personal punching bag anytime.
Appreciate the offer.
They put me in this body-hugging suit. It had lots of light-capturing balls stuck to it. Then they showed us on the monitors what they could do with the motion capture footage. And they showed that they could actually impose any kind of image they wanted to on top of the raw data that they had captured of us.
Cameras can't see the actors or the set or anything but the little sensors that we place on them.
The Oracle is waiting for you.
We had to give the mocap an additional technical boost. We actually took video cameras and we markered the video cameras. So what we got is tracked cameras in the space. And that allowed us to give us anything we wanted in terms of camera moves.
Like using all these makeshift vehicles, like the Firebird. It's like this wooden platform with these foam sticks on these C-stands that we're using as doors. And that's probably where I did my real acting.
It was just actors in a space. A carpeted floor, huge rig above us with infrared cameras, probably giving us cancer. We had nothing, so everything was using our imagination.
Shit. Niobe almost didn't make it. We need you here.
Lawrence Fishburne said to me one day, he said, "You look like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag."
For an actor, being in an open environment with nothing but these red, oppressive lights glowing down upon you, I mean, how is she going to react to that? How are all the actors going to react to that? It's very refreshing to be able to work with these people who are so excited to be working on a game of all things. You know, they're actors, they want to do big movies in general, but both Jade and Anthony were so excited to work on something like this.
Damn. Wu Ping and his crew were working on all the fight choreography of the movie. We're also doing all the fight choreography of the game.
We used Master Wu Ping and his team to take fight moves to another degree that gives such an enormous variation to the player.
Fight moves we have are so much further beyond your standard kicks and punches that you've seen in a game. They're just sort of mind-blowing moves that Master Wu would choreograph for us.
When you're playing this video game, you're actually going to be playing his stunt actors just delivering fantastic three-dimensional fighting moves in true kung fu.
今日得6部嘅嚟嘅，睇呢集先 motion capture。即係我老實啦，即係唯一我覺得好嘅地方咧，就覺得即係我哋好多嘢現場我哋拍唔到嘅，即係做唔到嗰種感覺嘅。
Had all the major actors in for facial capture, in which they actually perform their parts very, very much like they would do in terms of on a film set. Although you're just capturing their face, so then you can take that image and that performance and put them into many different environments.
All these tiny, tiny balls all over my face to capture every single movement of my face.
The facial motion capture on Hugo here.
Ron's using a glue that's for eyelashes, fake eyelash glue that women would use.
Yeah, over there. Over there! Raise Marie right.
Let's go.
Do we have Axel?
They'd go roll, and you'd have to do like the same line, 20, 30 times.
Dig in. Come on, dig in. Dig in. Let's dig in. Dig in!
Dig in! By the end of that, you were like, I don't think there's any other way, any other humanly possible way to manifest this line.
We had the actors say the same line 15 different ways, which means every time you play it and you get into that circumstance, you have a slightly different way of them saying it, which suddenly becomes much more human, much more realistic.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I think in some ways, the process of doing facial capture and motion capture has been really good for working out our acting skills.
Cat, tummy, tank, roll, jump, lick, pin.
It's a very
meant only for the one. Will you bring it to him?
What does it unlock?
The future.
In the video game, there's certain information from the film footage that you don't get from the movie.
Operator.
In the video game, you actually see when I get the call that Morpheus needs me on the freeway. I need to talk to Morpheus.
Believe me, Niobe, he needs you.
Where is he?
Just follow the sirens.
Let's go. You also get to see the situation with Ghost and Trinity. You kind of feel that there's this, like, what is going on with them? Well, you find out in the video game what's going on with them, you know? And with Locke and I.
Niobe, I have something to tell you.
In the movie, you kind of get a sense that something might be going on, but they don't really focus on it.
I couldn't let you go, Niobe.
You also get an opportunity to kind of get to know some of the other characters that are in the movie that you might see, like Roy Jones, for instance. He has a fight scene with Seraph.
Believe it or not, the rehearsed fight, I had to concentrate more on the timing because you don't want to hit nobody. And see, I'm used to concentrate on timing so I can hit somebody.
You punch me, I was standing here.
And at the same time, not let him hit me. Because the kicks and stuff he's throwing, if they do hit you, oh, you're gonna feel them. Matter of fact, I think I did get hit one time. What calling it? Oh, he's going back to Hong Kong. Yeah, I felt the glasses there.
There's a scene, a very sexy scene, where Monica, who plays Persephone, she has to kiss Jada and she has to kiss me. And in the movie, she kisses Keanu.
Yeah, Monica Bellucci.
She's like a vampire. Just instead of sucking blood, she sucks emotions and feelings from human beings.
I asked Larry, I said, okay, now Larry, now look. What does this mean? Like, what are we doing here?
I'm going to see the transformation of the old Oracle to the new Oracle. Viewers of the movie won't get the full story unless they watch the game.
Do I know you?
You know me, though you may not recognize me.
Can I ask what happened?
That transition that occurs in the movie, which is only referred to very, very briefly, you'll get the full story of why that happened in the game.
All right, here's a rehearsal.
Yay! Yup! Yay! Stop!
On one day, Jada Pinkett may be working on a scene in the movie. The next day, she may be doing motion capture for the game. The next day, she'd be shooting a scene for the game.
I presume that you were present during this latest act of insubordination.
I was.
When you see the game, you don't really know what they went through to get this, but they did a fantastic performance.
Ghost, help me out here. She promised. You heard her. Jack in, find the one, jack out. End of story.
We have full resolution DVD movie footage, in-game interactives, all the gameplay.
It's an insane amount of data. I'd never heard of a game with so much.
We recorded 12,000 or so lines.
25,000 stills.
Enough tapes that I can stack them from the bottom of this 3-story building to the top.
Close to 5,000 moves in our move tree.
A gameplay experience that's going to be anywhere between 15 and 20 hours per character.
We had to come up with a way to take all this data and crunch it down into your PlayStation 2 and make it look good.
To do that on a real-time game system like a PlayStation 2 and Xbox, we've come up with some creative hacks, creative solutions to match the movie look.
Instead of modeling in triangles like you usually do with characters, you model in high-order surfaces. So it's basically you model a curve instead of just modeling a straight triangle. You model the actual shape of the character.
I basically created a tool that you can put in all the animations in as high quality as possible and link them all together. It's not going to be clipping like in other games.
They basically cheat the code. He sits there and tries to fiddle with it so that you can have what looks like a far more complicated move with using just this much of the system's capability.
A lot of times, from my experience on games, you hope for that magic point where the game goes from being a whole bunch of bugs and problems, all of a sudden it's fun. And that's usually at the very end of the project. And we're far out. We have a big stretch of time to make it better. It's already really fun. I'm having a really good time just playing it right now.
Oh, okay.
Larry and Andy have had extraordinary participation in this. There's not anything that takes place in this game, to the minutest detail, that they are not part of.
The visual effects we're doing for the game, we're treating no differently. They're done to the same level of quality, the same resolution, done by the same companies from the movie.
This is Zion Control to the Logos. Welcome home.
Thank you, Control.
You're going to see versions of shots that you'll find in the movie sort of reworked from Ghost and Niobe's point of view.
Well, it's good to be home.
Damn good.
You don't have $1 million visual effects shots in games normally. Dane Davis is doing all the sound effects, and his team over there have been fantastic about taking, for instance, the sound of a hovercraft going through the tunnels and using the same sound effect in the game.
Face hits and fight whooshes and, all the body and fight hits and, God, I mean, there's so much stuff that I made and my whole team made. It's just all, it's all about that unity. It's all about making it all seem like one big piece.
Everybody has been able to work together to make the most incredible game you've ever played. You gotta see it. I mean, you gotta see it. When you grab hold of those controls and when you start punching those buttons, I mean, you'll see you can do things you've never done before.
There's a lot of things revealed in our game that this is the only place you're going to find it out. There's also some glimpses of movie 3, which I think you'll find interesting.
It's going to raise the bar for what people understand to be a fight game in the same way that the Matrix film raised the bar in terms of what people saw as a fight sequence.
I'm really excited to be a video game character. I think it'll be pretty cool playing myself, so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
I can't wait to see the game, I can't wait to play the game, I can't wait to see the film.
Dr. Feelgood can fix you up.
The world has not seen anything like this game. This is just going to be groundbreaking stuff.
Really?
Is that the last shot?
Oh, God.
I think that's it for the game.